Hey everyone, it's Strange Michael. I hope you're doing well today. It's the middle of the night. It's like 3 a.m. I can't sleep. I don't know what it is with me. I tried to go to bed, laid there for like an hour and a half. I can't do it. So, tonight anyway, before I went to bed, I finished watching Season 2 of Ash vs. Evil Dead. And before I get into that, of course, I'm in the middle of my reviews for the Evil Dead franchise. I reviewed all the films at this current point except for Evil Dead Rise, which is coming out. And I reviewed Season 1 of Evil Dead. I haven't played the games before, so I haven't touched that yet for the channel, but Evil Dead, not the biggest fan ever. Just so you know, going into this review, in case this happens to be the first ever video you've seen of me, I like Evil Dead. I don't love it. I don't consider myself like a die-hard fan or anything like that. But anyway, Season 1 was a massive letdown. It came out from 2015, and like one episode was at the beginning of 2016. I wanted to be sure I got it right. Anyway, it ran from 2015 to 2018. Season 2 ran pretty much exclusively towards the end of 2016. And then they apparently skipped 2017, making Season 3. Season 3 came out in 2018, and that was the finale, but it got canceled, so that's whole and fun and cool. I have allergies, by the way. I know it's very late at night, but my eyes are still watering. It's a mixture of being tired and sick. I guess that's the positive of pollen, if there is a positive to pollen. Anyway, Ash vs. Evil Dead, after like 2 minutes of non-stop bullshit with me. This season I was curious about what we would do, because Season 1's kind of an open and shut case. There's a truce now amongst Ash and Ruby, who is played by Lucy Lawless, and I don't want to tell you too much in case you guys want me to avoid spoilers, so here's your heads up. That this season was better than Season 1. Not by much, but enough that I would recommend it to the right people, more so than I did to Season 1, where I kind of just only recommended it to fans of the movies and the series and the franchise and the games and all of that stuff. Season 2 is an improvement over Season 1. But as I said, I'll get into the plot a little bit. There's not a whole lot to talk about. After Season 1, there is a truce, as I said, and Bruce, Ash Williams, Bruce Campbell playing him once again, he has decided after that truce to get his way and move into Jacksonville, Florida, hanging out with Kelly and Pablo, who both went to live with him as well. And we kind of have a prologue to this episode before we catch up with Ash, Pablo, and Kelly of Ruby, who's on the run. By the way, Lucy Lawless looks really different this season. I don't know what it is. She just looks different. I can't figure out exactly what it is about her that changed. But her children that she had at the end of Season 1 via Pablo, in the Necronomicon, I guess you could say, and she has a bad situation where the children went crazy. They apparently took her immortality away from her, even though she's a deadite or a demon or whatever she's supposed to be. Queen of Hell, I don't know. And they have now started trying to contact some kind of new guy, head demon, maybe the leader of Hell, something like that, named Baal, as in B-A-A-L, if you're familiar with the Bible at all. That was interesting to me to see that brought in. It's very much reminiscent to me of the smart decision that Supernatural made when they decided to bring in, I think it was Season 3, where they started going kind of a Book of Revelations route, a Revelation route, where they decided to go more Bible-based, but kind of play around with it a little bit in the apocalypse and that kind of thing. It saved Supernatural for like 2 or 3 seasons, when there was originally only supposed to be like 5 seasons of that show. And then Kripke, the creator of the show, was pushed into making more, and I think it was like, 12 seasons long? Something like that. It's a super long show. But Ash vs. Evil Dead took notes of that idea, of taking kind of a Bible thing and doing something a little bit different, not in a Christian way, but just saying, hey, we have this demon over here that we used to hear about in the Bible days, once upon a time. And he's kind of our big bad of the season, Baal, and the actor looks just like Brad Dourif, which is weird. I thought it was Brad Dourif, but it didn't sound like Brad Dourif. I looked it up on IMDb, it wasn't him. But the dude is kind of spooky. I like his introduction when he shows up in the show, and the threat that he imposes on Ruby is really interesting, why she's so afraid of this guy. She goes and finds Ash, Pablo, Kelly. Once the Deadites start to attack them as well, over in Jacksonville, Florida, they go on a little road trip, which had me worried for a moment there, that we were going to get a road trip movie style, like Season 1 did. We didn't go that route, which was really a good thing, in my personal opinion. Pretty much most of this season, if not the entire season after Episode 1, or at least half of Episode 1, takes place in Ash's hometown that he grew up in. He goes back home after one of the Deadites he fought in the first episode's first half mentioned something about Ashy Slashy, which is the nickname he was given kind of as an urban legend, O.J. Simpson character killer person, neighborhood serial killer type of story. The kind of lore they based around him in his hometown. Ash isn't welcome at home anymore. Even his dad, who is still alive, thinks he killed his own sister back in Evil Dead 1. Super cool. I never thought they would go this route. I never even thought about the neighborhood idea, or his childhood home where he grew up and was still a teenager basically when Evil Dead 1 and 2 happened to him. Never even thought of that stuff. Never even thought about what his family would think of him after Army of Darkness and when he finally returns to our reality. What would their thought be when their daughter goes missing? I guess you could kind of say that Evil Dead 1 was obliterated in canon after Evil Dead 2 came out and remade the entire beginning of the film, but as I said in my first review for Season 1, Ash vs. Evil Dead kind of takes the canon of both Evil Dead 1 and 2 and the beginnings of both, with a group of kids versus just Ash and his girlfriend, and considers both of them to be canon, apparently, according to Season 1, like I said. But Season 2 here, this idea of Ash going home, the town hates him, that Ashy Slashy joke, is kind of like a Candyman thing, or a Bloody Mary thing, where people are scared that he will show up and kill you. Because he killed his sister, he killed his friends, supposedly once upon a time, even though Ash won the trial, was proven not to be the killer, there were no bodies found as far as I know. It was interesting. I'm surprised Ash did not get convicted for that. They don't really go into that too much, but, you know, it makes sense, I guess, for a Ash vs. Evil Dead TV show. And really, him being home, a lot of this at first is focused on his relationship with his dad. His dad, I will tell you, might be the worst addition to the entire season. I can't stand the guy. It's not that the actor is bad, he's just old. He's slow, he's old. He's supposed to play Bruce Campbell's father, not just Ash Williams' father, but Bruce Campbell's father. So he's trying to say a lot of trying to be funny things that would sound good out of Bruce Campbell's mouth, do not sound good out of this actor's mouth. Wasn't impressive to me at all. But on top of that, they make him like overtly racist to Pablo. Now, Bruce Campbell as Ash Williams makes jokes in a fun way because it's Bruce Campbell. He has that TV show, you know, spin the wheel type of host voice and attitude and demeanor that makes him work well with that kind of dialogue and makes him not really racist when he says shit. But this dad is just like ridiculous. Like some of the stuff he says, I can imagine heads exploding with some of the things that were said in Season 1's finale by Ash, and then seeing this guy on the first quite a few handful of episodes kind of surprised me a lot with what they were able to get away with here. What Bruce Campbell, Sam Raimi, everybody were able to get away with in the writer's room for this show in modern day. Surprising a lot, I would say. But this character, I just don't like him. I can't tell if it's a writing thing or an actor thing or both. I think it's a little bit of both, as I said. But Kelly is here, as I said. Pablo is here. I grew on them a little bit more this season. They try to do more with them than they did towards the end of Season 1. I like that more, but I don't love these characters. I'm sorry, I just don't. Ruby comes along for the ride once again, Lucy Lawless being here. Even though she looks different, she's good once again. Kind of less good than the previous season, but, you know, she's here, whatever. The building around the Necronomicon, the building around all the lore this season, and what is Ashy Slashy, what's happening with this character named Ball, or Bale, whatever you want to refer to him as, that stuff is interesting. I think the building on that was cool. Sometimes it got a little generic, but then it seemed like by the end of the episode, which, by the way, each of these episodes, again, are 30 minutes long. I assume Season 3 will be the same way. I'm super stoked about that, because I flew through most of this season yesterday, before I went to work. I watched like 3 hours of the show, which is like 6 episodes, because they're 30 minutes apiece, really 25, but you know what I mean. The show flies by. The pacing on it is even better this season. The events in the season itself are fantastic. One of my favorite things in here happened to involve a possessed car, kind of like in Christine. The use of that was, number one, unexpected, but number two, was so well done that I had a blast watching it. It was just fun, it was crazy, it was wild. And with all that being said, the writing was improved so much this season with trying to do more with the Deadites, trying to do more with demonic possession, trying to do more with especially one character that comes in the show that I loved, with an actor I love who happens to be God, I can't talk. It's so late. Maybe I shouldn't have recorded this at this point in the morning, but there's another actor I love a whole lot who happens to be related to Mr. Sam Raimi, who is a creator, or the creator, of Evil Dead alongside Bruce Campbell as the character creator. Ted Raimi, who is Sam Raimi's brother, and Ivan Raimi's brother, who writes the show a little bit. Ted Raimi is in this so much, and I love this guy. He was in one of my more favorite recent games that I played that came out last year in 2022 called The Quarry. The dude is fantastic. I love this guy. Really fun to watch. Really fun to just enjoy him being around. He's just genuinely fucking funny. I love him so much in this show. He and Bruce Campbell kind of being childhood friends really adds a lot to the show. I like him a lot there when he's there with Ash, and even if he's not, he's having fun. I really like seeing him around. Of course, in case you don't know, Ted Raimi played Henrietta in Evil Dead 2, the old fat lady down underneath the floor in the basement. He comes back here and he does some cool stuff as a different character. Well, most of the time, a different character. I loved all that. I thought it was a great addition to this, as well as one particular storyline involving a puppet, which I will not spoil in case you haven't seen Season 2. That was so fucking funny. I laughed so much during this season, and I barely laughed during Season 1. Season 1 is fairly watchable, or at least decent. It's just right at average, really average, and a lot of that harm is done because of the effects. This season improved on so much, and it was above average for sure. I don't love it, but I loved it a lot more than I loved Season 1, for sure. It's still not like my favorite thing ever. I do like it more than Evil Dead 2, for sure, whereas Season 1 I kind of like less than Evil Dead 2. I don't really know. I haven't really decided on that. It's not the best, if I'm being honest with you, because of all the shitty CGI in that season. But Season 2 here, they have a lot of CGI for the gore, for the creatures, the Deadites, whatever. They do makeup on the Deadites, but a lot of the time it looks shittier than in Season 1, depending on who we're talking about within Season 2. But the CGI is also matched with a lot of practical stuff too. Not a ton of it, but it's enough there that I appreciated it more than the very few amounts of practical effects in Season 1. Season 2 really offered a lot of that up, and I'll tell you, I really found it entertaining because of that. The CGI stuff was improved a little bit more, but again, it kind of depends on like what we're talking about, like with the makeup on the Deadites. It depends on what scene or what episode we're talking about, breaking it down on what CGI was good and bad, because a lot of it was really shitty. And once again, the budget of the show, being 10 episodes long, being 30-minute episodes apiece, the show itself is typically focused on interior settings, which typically is a big sign of a low-budget movie, or show in this case. The budgets don't seem to have grown much more outside of Season 1. Maybe $1 million more, I don't know, maybe a little bit less, maybe $500,000, I don't know. I could be wrong, but it still feels cheap, like Season 1. But the way they were able to utilize that budget so much better in this season was a blast. I had a good time, not a great time, but a good time. It's like if you had a shitty date but you went to a really nice restaurant and that person paid. That's kind of what it was like. I enjoyed it a lot. It was a good time. I just wish it was better. I don't see Season 3 being better than this. If it was, I would be surprised. For the kind of quality and the budget we've had, the acting, the writing, all of that stuff, this was really what I think Season 1 could have been. But my boy Franchise Horror Reviews, who's a massive Evil Dead fan, I've talked about his channel a bunch of times here on my channel, he really recommends Season 3 a lot. He says Season 2 and Season 3 are the best of the show, Season 1 being the weakest of the 3 seasons. And I trust him on that, because he kind of knows my taste, I know his taste. We're kind of similar in a lot of the things we like. So Season 3, I have a lot of hope for, because I've heard good things, and it sounds good except for the finale, which I didn't have spoiled for me, but I've constantly heard from everybody I talked to about how disappointing it was, because it got canceled. I'm assuming a cliffhanger or something happens, I don't know. But anyway, Season 3 is on the rise for me. With this season, though, I really liked it. Even down to the music was better this season. It just really knew what it was doing. And even though it felt cheap again, it felt like the sets even were better. In utilization, in story, all of that. Anyway, it was a big improvement is what I'm trying to tell you after, over 10 minutes of me rambling about this fucking show. Ash vs. Evil Dead Season 2. If I had to rate it on a 5-star basis, I think I would give it like a 4 out of 5 stars. I really liked it a lot. It wasn't amazing, but it was a big improvement, and it was enough of an improvement that I had a really good time, and I was laughing a lot during this show. Even if Episode 1 is a little bit schlocky, a little bit more schlocky than I'm used to with my channel, with the stuff I talk about, give it some time. If you give it some time, I really think it picks up, and I think it gets better overall. Anyway, have you seen Season 2? What do you think about it? Do you love it? Do you hate it? I'd love to hear what you have to say down in the comment section down below. By the way, happy Easter weekend. I don't know if I'll have a review for Season 3 by the time that this Easter weekend is over, but I have Friday off, which is tomorrow. I had an early half a day off today at work because our work, we hit our goals, so they let us off early, and it was great. Really thankful for my job. They're really good to all of us at work, and yeah, so I have kind of a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to watch some Evil Dead, and if it's really good, if Season 3 is really good at the way Season 2 was, I could burn through this in no time. I might have a review by Easter Sunday, I don't know, but I'll see. Anyway, thank you all for watching once again, God bless you all, and goodbye.